Welcome to another edition of Swim Easy Speed. This is a continuation of our the Pre-Kona training series with all the pros in town. So today we've got Kat Matthews. Kat is in with a bunch of other pros that they're training here, trying to heat and humidity acclimate before Kona. And yeah, so we got her in the endless pool the other day, and we'll just take a look at her stroke. She's been swimming with the team too, so it's been a lot of fun having them around. So here we go. I'll just let the video play and then we'll rewind it. Okay, so we'll back it up now and just start talking about it. Okay, so here we are, kind of from the side view here, and you can see, and we've talked about this a lot before. The one thing that the endless pool does is, if you're not prepared for it, if you're not aware of it, it's going to put you at that angle. The water coming over like this is going to push kind of that back end down a little bit, but it does point out kind of if you're not engaged enough as you should be right here, or if the legs aren't as connected to the core as they should be, then yeah, that angle right there gets much more exaggerated than what it would be in the pool, or even swimming open water, unless you're kind of swimming up a current in the river. But in Ironman, that never happens, except for, I think, one race. Well, two races. I think they do it at Waco sometimes too. But anyway, yeah, so I mean, it just kind of points out, where there might be some opportunity to improve the stroke, by getting a little bit more core engagement, by getting a little bit more connectivity throughout your entire body, that you can gain some efficiency that way. And, you can see her head's a little bit kind of high here, heads up, basically a little bit. Okay, so here's one of the things she's doing really, really well. So you can see she extends out, starts grabbing the water really quickly. Nice high elbow catch, pulls through. And you can see she's getting a really good pull in the water because her hips start to come up. So she's really got good acceleration. That's pretty much where you want to be looking when you're swimming. It might be a little bit forward, but I don't want to nitpick too much. So, but no, I think that looks really good for her. And then again, even on this side, that really nice kind of position right there, nice high elbow. She's already setting herself up for a really good pull on the water. So that looks really good. And then we're going to kind of look a little bit farther back here. And so you can see here, so that gap for her, probably maybe 3 to 5 seconds, 100. And kind of where she's at, that would make a fairly significant, she's usually kind of that second group swimming open water in an Ironman. So, I mean, that would make a significant difference, not only, make it where the swim would be a little bit easier so that, she wouldn't be using as much energy to keep up with that second group in the draft, and then get out on the bike and maybe be able to bridge up a lot quicker to that lead group. So you can see, our feet are a little bit low, but okay. So here's one of the things that we wanted to think about. So here we can see kind of, if we're thinking midline is right there. Okay. she's right on midline there. And then you can see how it impacts right there. So if we clear that, so we can see her foot is right there, and foot is right there. So we've got that gap in between. And we talked about this a little bit. Some of it is she doesn't mind kind of going on to that side, especially when she's breathing. But we're getting at a fairly steep angle on the recovery arm, especially when she's breathing. And then we don't get as much kind of rotation onto that right side. And that's kind of impacting her stroke. And then you can see kind of, again, foot, how far apart they go. And that's all just to stabilize the stroke for some of that instability that's in it. And, here, I'm going to back it up real quick. I'll show you what I was talking about with the hips. So just watch the hips, watch each side of the hips. So we're going to watch kind of there and there. And just look at kind of the amount of rotation versus one side versus the other. And that's not uncommon. It's not not that I see it all the time, but it's not uncommon for, particularly pros to have fairly tight kind of thoracic region, that hip kind of area where it makes it difficult to make that rotation all the way. And that could be a combination of, you maybe recover a little bit more, pay attention to that particular area. And then you can see kind of a little bit of, let's see if we got it here. Yeah, there it is. So we can see kind of a little bit of that curve kind of in the body when, we just want to keep everything really, really straight going forward. And then here we go a little bit more. You can see it a little bit more pronounced from this angle, especially right there. So the majority of the momentum's going straight, but some of it's kind of coming in that way. And so typically you've got to, to counteract that imbalance that you're putting in the stroke, you've got to correct for it somewhere. And for her, it's in the feet when she's, kind of splaying those legs apart. And then we'll see it, we'll see the other way that typically is corrected kind of under the, well, you can see it right here, actually. Right there. So you can see how far outside the body that pull is right there, especially if right about there, we'd really want to be on midline. So, that was a couple of the things that we really worked on. So basically what happens is if you're pulling way outside like this, so we're looking at the right now, that right side, all of the pull gets put on the top part of your shoulder. And if we look here, kind of this angle, yeah, I mean, you'd really like to see this more 100 to 110 degrees, and she's kind of, so it'd be more about like that. So somewhere between there and there, where that hand is more over here. And then you're just able to get a little bit more leverage on the water, get the lat involved, get all the big muscles in the back involved, and really drive your whole body forward. But you can see she's got a pretty good line. You don't see a lot of the rest of her body kind of that would be drag. It's just really frontal drag with the head, shoulders, top of the chest, arms. Okay, so the first thing that we did was, and I don't think I included everything that we did in here today, but this is just kind of some of the highlights of the stuff we worked on. So the first drill was the Aquavola paddles, and these are the Volo blades. It's just a mid-palm paddle. They're clear. And they really help kind of with that rolling you over into a high elbow catch. And then we use the Fike mortar, which is it's like a 1 to 1.5 kilo, so about a 2 to 3 pound pull buoy. It's neutrally buoyant. And what it tends to do is if we're thinking about, ourselves being this teeter-totter in the water, and, her head and shoulders are riding a little bit high. One of the things that this pull buoy is really good at doing is helping an athlete figure out where that balance is between the front and the back. And it can allow you to kind of overcompensate for it. So then once we take it off, it'll bring kind of this, the hips and the feet and the legs a little bit up, and then it'll tend to bring this down so that the whole body is a little bit more balanced. And then which allows you to get longer on the water, which allows you to connect everything together a little bit better. So you can see here was kind of the second time we did it. And our hips and our shoulders are starting to move together a little bit more, and that's because the core is starting to engage a little bit more. So here it is without it, and you can see the feet have come up, hips have come up, head and shoulders are down a little bit, and everything's a little bit more level and on plane. So here we go. We decided to do kind of a little dog paddle drill, but made it even a little harder with the mitts on, and just so we could work on that underwater catch and the basically the direction that the pull pattern was going in. So here we go, kind of at the final. You can see she's moving a little bit better this way. Not rotating as much onto the right to get the breath. And then she really starts driving the stroke forward here. And, we were about, I think by the time we got to the end here, I had to move the pace of the current up by, I think, about 7-8 seconds. So, she was looking better and better as we went along. So, that was kind of what we worked on the other day. And I think we've got one more session before they take off to Kona to do. So they'll be in swim with the team and at a practice one more time before they take off. So, as always, thank you for tuning in, and please like, share, comment, subscribe down below. And if you have any questions, I'm always happy to answer questions.